Hello and welcome to my brand new podcast. I'm Nicky Raby and I'm thrilled that you're joining us. I do lots of things. I'm an actor, coach, writer, speaker and a mum. And in my coaching work, I work with creatives, personal brands, freelancers and small businesses. In this podcast, I want to talk about success, but not in the traditional sense. I want to bring you conversations that discuss success, what it means, and how there are many different versions. We're going to be talking about business, branding, becoming visible, saying no, saying yes, and how you can create a thriving portfolio career doing more of what you love and less of what you don't. Sometimes there can be a certain mystery around the online world, so I'm going to be asking my guests how they started and grew, how they get paid, how they stand out, and how they create success on their terms. As always, please check the show notes for all things we mention and come and say hi over on social media at Nicky Raby or via my website nickyraby.com/podcast. In today's episode, I'm talking to Dr. Pragya Agarwal, an academic and creative strategist, helping others reignite their creativity and launch their creative careers and their businesses. I hope you enjoy the episode. Hi Pragya, how are you?
Hello Nikki, how are you? I'm good, thanks.
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I'd love just to hear an introduction from you to begin with about what you do and what your business is all about.
Yes, so I run two businesses. One is a creative studio, an eco studio called Hedge and Hawk Prints, which is an artisanal studio. So I make handmade lino cut prints and illustrations, and it's all about making relationships through gifts and cards, tapping into local sense of place, so using local slangs and words and unique language. The second one is a social enterprise which I set up last year, called the Art Tiffin, and it's all about nourishing the heart and the mind through art and creativity and campaigning for creativity and mental well-being. So we donate to mental health charities, and also one integral part of that is raising awareness of cruelty-free art materials because there's not much awareness about those. And so it's everything that comes in the gift subscription boxes is vegan and cruelty-free. It's like having a creative hug in a box, so inspiring, reigniting creativity. And I work with organizations and individuals to help them with their creativity and creative thinking and how to drive innovation through that.
That's brilliant. That's so great. And I feel like creativity is so important, and it's certainly something that runs through all of my work and how I like to live my life, I guess. How did you get into this area?
I think since a very young age, I didn't realize it until recently, looking back, that my mom is really creative, and that's been such a big part of our lives when I was growing up. So although I studied science initially at school, but from very early childhood, we were encouraged in a lot of different creative pursuits. We did a lot of art, and there used to be lots of artistic projects. Then I studied architecture actually as my first degree, and which is just a combination of art and science, really a perfect combination. So and then I it's always been a part of my life that and just enjoying being to art galleries, learning about art, looking at art, doing art, interior design projects and design projects. And then since my PhD, I was an academic, so I wasn't really formally doing any kind of art or creative projects. But as I said, it was always a big part of my life. So it's kind of a seed was sown since I was born, I suppose.
Yes. And when it being a social enterprise, what do you think it gives people? What do you think that people are looking for and needing that outlet in their life?
I think so. It started off from my own experiences with anxiety and PND and just realized that art and creativity were really, really helped me through that period, because my twins, who were born 2 years ago, had quite a difficult early months with very serious colic and reflux. We never slept. They cried for 12 hours. And so during that period, there was such a justifiably so much focus on them. But as new parents, we were just completely exhausted. And I realized that self-care and me time wasn't something that was on my priority list at all. And I think a lot of parents do that. We tend to ignore the need for having a bit of me time, or we feel guilty if we think about self-care. And I realized just 5 to 10 minutes of doing something creative really eased my anxiety and the sense of overwhelm and any stress that I was feeling, and it really made me happy. So the whole thing started from there. And I think what the Art Tiffin does is to kind of give you permission or encouragement, inspire you to create something, or just find that 5 to 10 minutes of your time, and using creativity as a means of self-care, and saying that it's actually really important to do that, because it's been proven by psychology and neuroscience as well that when you look at art or make art, it actually creates happy hormones, so dopamine in your brain. So that's what it provides. It provides that inspiration, that spark. A lot of the people who I talk to say they're not creative, and I think I want to dispel that myth that somebody's not creative, because I think we are all creative in different ways. It's just different forms of creativity as well.
I totally agree. And it's funny that even at school, people will say, oh, you're not good at drawing, or this person can do those bubble letters that were really popular. Or, you're very aware from being a very small child, actually, who's the fastest runner, who's the person who's good at maths, or who's the tallest, and you're very aware of each other.
Yeah, I think so. I really, as a parent, as a mom of 3 girls, I find that notion quite awful in a way, for a use of a better word, because I think children from a very early age are kind of put into these boxes, and they're not allowed to achieve the potential or explore other possibilities. And that's why I'm very passionate about encouraging creativity and creative thinking from a very young age in children, and saying that, okay, you need to encourage, and creative thinking is not just about doing art, but it's about this attitude of being able to think outside the box and being able to take risks. And there is research that's shown that children by the age of 10 or 12 already start to self-edit and self-criticize. And before that, they are quite confident as artists, and they would be very free in terms of mark making, and just being very natural in what they create, and they don't judge their work as much. But slowly these judgments come in. So that's why I designed these Art Explorer boxes, and I also run a Facebook group, Raising Creative Kids. And the whole mission is to encourage this love of art and art appreciation and art history and creativity from a very young age in children, before these kind of self-edit kind of come into play at a later age. So inspire that confidence in them before that.
And how important have you found it to have the really strong message behind what it is that you're building?
I feel that any brand or business, it's really important to have your values really clear from the very start, because your own personal values and the brand values, they have to align. And if it's a clear message and a consistent message, I think people who are your customers or potential clients, they are more aware of what you're doing, and you're trying to make a difference and the social impact. And increasingly, it's becoming more and more important for people to know that a brand is doing or having a social impact, or actually they're engaging with the community, or they want to do something good. And it's increasingly becoming important for people to buy from ethical brands.
Yes.
And I think that transparency and honesty is really important. I find that it kind of keeps me grounded. And when I have tough days, as an entrepreneur, which we all do.
Yes.
It just the values, the knowing that this is why I'm doing this, it's really important. That keeps me kind of anchored and grounded and pushes me forward as well.
Oh, that's so true. That little switch that you can go, no, come on, this is why I'm doing it. This is what is going on. Because I think sometimes I think you touched on such a great point that about being an entrepreneur, it's full on and it presses all of your buttons and you do see every single emotion possible. It's the biggest self-development journey of your life, I always think.
Exactly. Yes, I completely agree, Nikki. And I've learned so much just in the last year, a couple of years. And we start this journey. A lot of the creative entrepreneurs start the journey thinking this is what I'm passionate about. But then there's so much to learn and we're constantly learning every day. And there's so many aspects and elements to running a business. It's just mind boggling. We just kind of need ninja things to take tricks, I think.
Absolutely. And from making your switch from being an academic to moving creativity and being an entrepreneur more to the forefront, how have you done that? What practical steps really helped you to make huge progress, especially when your girls are still relatively young?
It's been tough.
And no sleep as well. My goodness, you're in my no sleep camp.
Exactly. Then after a while, you just get used to it. If you get an hour, you just think that's fantastic.
Yes, exactly.
But I think, it's been tough, as I said. But I think if the message, because I'm so passionate about what I'm doing and the message I'm putting across, and that's really important for me, the purpose of the brand, the values that I hold very dear, and trying to make that change and difference and little steps. And it's really important for me to, I don't know, as a parent, to be a role model to my children as well, to show them that resilience is really important. You knock back, but you get up and you do it again. And in life, there'll be setbacks, but that's what you do. You just try again and you do something. And it's important to drive yourself forward and be self-motivated. It gives me a lot of fulfillment, and that is really important as a parent as well. I think being mom is very important, but doing something that really makes me very happy for myself is very important as well.
I agree. And I know that I'm a better parent when I show up as a whole person. And that's not to say, for half the week I'm doing my own thing and then the other time I'm being a parent. But it's bringing all my experience, my life experience to the table and the things that I enjoy. The year before last for Christmas, I asked for a radio because having a radio in the kitchen, it's very old school, was such a part of my childhood of, dancing around the kitchen and it always being in the background, and there was a real familiarity to it. And I love that now that I have that with my son, and, whether you're doing the dishes or putting a wash on or just dancing in the living room or the kitchen, it feels really good as well. So yeah, bringing it all to the table is always good. I loved what you said about how you can turn obstacles into opportunities. How has that shown up for you?
I think it's been a constant thread in my life, and I'm not sure where I get it from. I think, again, from my mom. I think she's the most resilient person I know, and the strongest person in a very gentle way. She's not one of those who says, I'm a really strong person, or looking at her, you wouldn't think she's strong. But I think that inner strength really matters to her, and it shows in everything she does. And that is something that I've really learned from her. Just a lot of setbacks, personal setbacks, professional setbacks. And it's just, I think there's always a positive. You can always turn it around, and not saying it doesn't take time. But I think accepting that as well, saying that, okay, I've had a knock and it's okay for me to feel like this is really important as well. A lot of the time I pretended that I was okay, but that kind of had a lot of effect on me and my mental health, because I wasn't articulating how I was feeling. So that's really important as well, to be able to talk to somebody and to be able to talk about your mental health and well-being as well. But but just my eldest, I've written about this in a few things. And I think recently it's been quite therapeutic for me to actually be open about how the kind of journey I've had and the experiences I've had, because I feel like when people read that, it can help people, because they can think that, okay, it's okay to talk about these things. I don't have to feel afraid. Nobody will judge me. I'm not being silly for feeling like this. So I think that's really important as well.
I feel also as well that all of these new things are coming to light, or these new ways of dealing with life, and I think it's wonderful, because the amount of times, especially in my own childhood, is you would say something and a teacher would say, no, you don't feel like that, and you think, well, no, I do actually, but we were sort of that seen and not heard, or quieted down. And I'm really trying to do it with my son, of sort of saying, how do you feel, what do you need, what's going on, and really get him to articulate and connect with his feelings as well. I think it's been really important. And how have you, I hate this word balance, it drives me up the wall, but it seems that since you've had your twins, that you've got a new, even though however tough it's been, that you had this new lease of life again. How have you managed to put the wheels in motion in terms of moving forward with the business?
I think children can be such a driving force as well. And I know balance is such a myth, because we are all striving for it. But we just have to accept that what we do at that time is the best we are doing.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
So when I met my eldest, I was really young, and I brought her up as a single parent. I did my PhD and everything alongside with that. And as a single parent, we moved from India to the UK, and I brought her up and did my academic career and moved ahead. So it's always been kind of part of me that somehow having a child drives me forward.
I was just going to say, did you know how strong you were in that situation? Did you know that you had that in you, as it were?
I never actually, even until recently, when people started telling me, that's amazing, you did that, I never thought that I was being strong. It's just something I had to do, and you just get on the task and you think, this is what I have to do and this is what I will do. And and I wasn't particularly, there were times, you don't always feel strong. There are times when you have wobbles and you think, I can't do this. But when you're a parent, you just have to get up and do it, because somebody else relies on you, I suppose, as well. If I'm feeling ill, I can't just stay in bed, or if I'm feeling anxious or depressed, I can't just wallow in it, because I don't have the time and the space to do it, because my two kids now, who are 21-month-old, rely on me. So it's been tough, but I think having my businesses has really made me a better parent in some ways, and also just having that me time, because that's as you said, bringing yourself completely to the table is just all part of me, the whole bundle. So it's you just kind of hustle and just get along.
Have there been any things that have just made all the difference, or have really surprised you of how effective they've been?
In terms of efficiency or productivity?
Yes. Yeah. Anything to make life easier, I guess.
I would really love a cleaner, but I can't find one. In terms of, I think I've been surprised by the number of women I've met online and the communities that I've formed online.
Yes.
Working from home can be quite isolating, especially as a parent, when you're dealing with so much other stuff around you and you're trying to do this as well. And you don't have the opportunity to bounce ideas, but it's just been amazing how many inspiring women I've met, the networks I've formed, the kind of advice I've got. It's just the space to be able to say how I feel. And I've been really surprised by that. There's so many amazing women out there. That's been fantastic. My husband's a great support. He takes up so much of, we are an equal partnership. I don't feel like I'm kind of being a mother or a father is about being a parent. So we equally pitch in. We don't have any close friends or family nearby, so we don't have that support here. But otherwise, just making lists. I make a lot of lists.
Yeah, me too. Love them.
And just being able to, again, I think the passion and for enthusiasm for what I'm doing really drives me forward, because there are times when I would say, okay, I'm really tired after they've gone to bed at 10 o'clock or 10:30 and 11, and I can still find the strength to work till maybe 2 or 3 in the morning or something, just because I want to do it, or it's not about somebody forcing me to do it, I think.
Yes.
That's right.
And coming back to what you love, I think is so key in those moments.
Exactly.
And I remind myself of how lucky I am to actually have a career that I really love, and that it's not, I don't get that, oh no, it's Monday again. I think, oh great, what are we doing this week? And
exactly.
But equally, that's a conscious decision as well. And it's always a work in progress, isn't it?
I absolutely, I couldn't agree more. Yes.
And have there been any books that have really spurred you on, or helped you change direction, or have just given really practical advice that you always refer back to?
There've been quite a few. I mean, I don't have. I used to read so much, but I haven't had time to actually sit down and read a whole book. So it's been like a magpie kind of situation. I pick up books and I take bits and pieces from them that I feel are relevant to me. But earlier on, when I was setting up my business, and after that, so I was talking about the Brand Stylist book. It's about by Fiona Humberstone.
Yes.
And I love that book because it really gave me very practical tips about how to think about brand colors and the image that you want to portray, and how to keep it consistent. And it took me a while to get my head around it, and in terms of what I really wanted, but it made me think a lot about these things initially, and about what different colors mean. And colors have been something that I'm really fascinated by always. So a lot of the other books that I've been reading about color, color psychology, there's something called Alchemy of Paint, and there is another book about color, which I can't remember the author, but I can send you the link.
That's fine. Yeah, we'll add it into the show notes.
Yeah, so I read a lot of books about color, but then another book was Making Ideas Happen by Scott Belsky, and it is all about how you overcome the obstacle between vision and reality. So you have a vision, but how do you make it real, and how do you actually put your ideas into action? That's something that really resonated with me, and really still resonates with me, because of all the whole design thinking and creative thinking. And as an architect and designer, that's my background, about how you put ideas into a conceptualization into practical things, how you bridge that gap, and how you bridge the gap between what you see and what others see as well, visualize and perceive. And that's the whole thing about design thinking as well. So those are some of the books that I've read, and they really resonated with me. But there are a lot more others as well, which have been really useful.
And where would you like to be in 5 years' time? Is there, and this could be in business or life, or a combination of the two? I know it's a big question.
Yeah, it is. It's always tricky to think ahead. My life's taken so many turns. I've never been one to plan, and it just suddenly happens. But in terms of family, I think I would like to have a more calmer family routine. And I'm sure that will happen as the kids are older, more healthier, traveling a bit more, and doing things that we used to enjoy a lot, like going to theater and art galleries and museums, and doing more of that. More healthy nutrition and food, and growing our own vegetables and fruits, and all those things that have kind of taken a back seat recently. And just being back to that. And just eating together is very important for me. Cooking together is really important for me. In terms of my business, I'm trying to I do a lot of disparate things. I'll do a lot of writing as well. And I'm trying to bring everything together under one umbrella as as kind of a creative umbrella. And I want to pull all those different strands together. And I've started doing some more one-to-one and group work in times of creative strategies with people and helping them launch their creative careers. So that's something that I really want to push forward as well. So just support more people, support more entrepreneurs, and just from my own experience, distill it so that people can benefit from what I've learned through running my own businesses as well.
Oh, that's so good and so inspiring. And just, I loved it that actually a lot of the things that you're saying are life simple pleasures. And I think sometimes when you're in those early years of parenting, that just even, imagining a time where you could have an afternoon of just, cooking leisurely in the kitchen it's you can't understand that would ever happen again, but it will. People say it does. It comes back, and
it does, and it'll be fantastic.
I cannot wait. It will be great. And so if people would like to find out more about you and your brilliant projects, where should they go? I'll also add it into the show notes, but just if people are listening in the car or on the move, where should they go and have a look?
So it's hedgeandhawkprints.com and thearttiffin.co.uk. If you're a parent and or somebody encouraging creativity in kids and interested in the Art Explorer kit for kids, box for kids, do have a look at our Facebook group, which is Raising Creative Kids. And if you're a creative entrepreneur and want to connect with others in a supportive community, it's called the Creativist Hub, which is a Facebook group as well. And hopefully I'm trying to set up a new website, which brings a lot of things together. So that's a work in progress at the moment for the next 4 or 5 months. So we'll see how that goes.
How exciting. Well, as and when you make the updates, I will update the show notes as well. But thank you so much for your time today. I feel like I want to go and draw and paint. And even though in my head I'm saying, oh, I'm not good at that, I'm going to try it anyway. And we started doing a bit of potato printing the other day, which was
fantastic.
Which was great.
That's lovely.
And then my partner and I just got a bit competitive, oh no, you made the perfect start. Oh, yours is better. But it's not about that. It's about the taking part.
It's about the process as well. Exactly. And it's and a lot of us feel afraid about setting the first mark on paper, but just doodle something. That kind of get the creative juices flow sometimes. So
brilliant. Thank you so much. I know you're doing so much great stuff in the world, so thank you for that. And if anybody who is listening would like to hear more, please go over to nickyraby.com/podcast and you can find all the show notes there. Likewise, if you enjoyed the episode, please feel free to rate and review and subscribe and share with your friends. We'll see you very soon. Thanks. Bye. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it, and I would love to hear what you thought of the episode and share any takeaways with me. Come and find me across social media at Nicky Raby, or you can visit the podcast page, nickyraby.com/podcast.